I have a game of Kingdom Death Monster that needs a scout, so that means I'm taking you all down with me. No, welcome back. We're painting a scout here today. I've started with a bone undercoat, and I'm going to be painting over the white first here, just building that up, which is very, very easy over a bone undercoat. I'm then going to be moving into the skin. Now, with the scout, in terms of in-game, the scout is kind of the one who's burdened with this pack, and they're kind of like I don't know how I feel about it, but they're like kind of like an afterthought survivor. And because of that, I'm going to be going for a little bit of like a pallid, almost sickly looking flesh with this. Just not having a real like battle hungry looking survivor. So still starting from the same base coat there. It's a burnt red with a skin tone mixed in. And now I'm going to be doing a little bit of work coloring the base coat for the browns and the reds that will be on there. I'm doing a really deep brown for these like sticks and metal rods and stuff that are in the back there. Mostly because I can paint over with a metallic very easily, so I don't need to utilize the bone base coat being very easy to paint over. So I can just go pretty rough and ready with the base coat on the brown there. But I'll then be moving into the red on the actual clothing for the scout themselves. And it's basically any excuse for me to paint red. I just like painting red clothes. But with the cape as well, that cape is an in-game mechanic, and it's actually made to pretty much disguise the scout as part of the ground. And for that, I didn't want to have the back of the cape just white as well. I think it just felt right to me to have it as like a deep like crimson red. So I'll be painting not only the base coat of the clothes, but the base coat on the back of the cloak the same, and then I'll be highlighting up the clothing, whereas I will be down shading the back of the cloak to make it almost a black, like it's going to be a very, very deep red. The advantages of this bone undercoat here are that it's very easy to paint any color over, even white. The disadvantage is black undercoats are extremely forgiving. With a white or bone or any sort of non-black undercoat, some of you need to get every single area, otherwise it shows up. So you've got to be pretty on top of it to use the undercoat. But with this model that has so many sort of bands and straps and horns and all this sort of stuff, it was just easier to start from a lighter base coat. So you can see me doing the brown on the sleeping rolls and packs and everything here. I'm also then going to be moving into just doing a base coat over all the ties and stuff, all the metallics. We'll do the whites in the lanterns to be then built up to a glow. But we're also going to be building up the skin as it dries as well. And you can see here that I'm just focusing on every little bit of skin there, highlighting it up, starting at where the light is going to be hitting, and then using sort of a feathering motion down and actually sketching in a lot of the highlights here. I go pretty white with this highlight, and as I said, I want her to look kind of sick and pale here, like not as well taken care of and ready for battle as the other survivors. And we've got to take into account as well on this model, any of the skin here is not only going to have the light source naturally, but she's got like 50 lanterns on her, so you got to take that into account. So with that in mind, a lot of the skin on the face and around where the lantern light would be coming from will also be highlighted. So just keeping the light sources in mind is not always natural light. So we go up pretty bright here. We go up, as I said, I'm making it so she's almost like pallid. And I don't know why. The scout just strikes me as that kind of character. Fortunately, there's not actually a huge amount of skin on this. For a Kingdom Death model, she's dressed like an absolute nun. So it was very, very quick to do all the skin there. And we spent most of the time then on the leather, the bandages, the wraps, the shoes, and the rest of the clothing. So you see me just going through with rapid succession. I used a couple of speed paints here as well. I used speed paints on the bone and the antlers to get those basically shaded how I need, and then just highlight it up from the speed paint. It's a two-step process. It's very easy once you start with a bone undercoat. And also with the fur on the back behind the pack, I just hit that with a flesh speed paint, and I didn't even need to highlight up after that. Actually, it was perfect. I'm running through and doing a little bit of highlighting around the whites on the stone faces after using a grey wash over them. And I'm picking out the ones on the top of her head, on that hood of the cloak, and on her knees as the most prominent. I'm going to go through and add some blue to those feathers that are around her neck as well, as the phoenix that those are from in my set is painted with a blue. And I'm going to then be adding in some glow effects around those lanterns too, just to make it a little bit more realistic. I like adding the glow effects after you've added all the highlights and everything else like that, because realistically the glow would be coming from the lantern, and it would be over the top of those highlights. You wouldn't have a highlight crisply through the glow would be washing it out a little bit. Now you will get to see me put on some basing material here. I will not be finishing the base because it's taken me too much time, and this needs to be ready for tomorrow. But a cheeky little spatula there with some texture basing material, and I'm going to be running through now and essentially just showing you the finished product. So once it's all highlighted up like that, you can see the blues on the feathers, the lanterns a little bit. We'll take it around the back in a second, but you can see this the flesh is almost pallid and sickly, but it tapers down nicely away from the light. And you can see there a little bit of glow on the cape for the lanterns too. And I'll be doing the base to match all the other bases in the set, a grey with a white little highlight over the top. So thanks again. That was another Kingdom Death miniature down.